So there are three pieces of advice out of all of the pieces of advice that I've watched and read about and watched so many hours of YouTube videos. These are the three that I remember vividly that are the most important, that will give you 90% of the success that you want in any goal that you're achieving. If you remind yourself of these three, you're going to do well. Just remember these three. Number one is you become what you think about. Now, I know it's all about like mindset and shit. Like, you've probably heard these quotes before, but there's three main ones, right? And if you really want to change the trajectory of your life, and if you have a habit that you want to start, or if you really want to achieve a goal, let's say financial freedom, the first step toward that is to start consuming content related to that, to start being around people who have that same goal, to start putting it into your For You page, to start watching content about it on YouTube and Instagram, to just feed yourself that kind of content. Maybe buy a course in the program that you're interested in. If you want to do, like, I don't know, Wall Street, if you want to go into Wall Street, you need to start surrounding yourself with those kind of thoughts. Put it on your calendar that you're going to just think about it for 20 minutes a day. And over time, this reinforces into your head. Then you eventually become that thought. Over time, if you keep manifesting it over and over and over and over, like I think all the time, like, I'm going to make $1 million a year, I'm going to make $1 million a year, I'm going to make $1 million a year. Eventually, like, you're going to have all these thoughts that are related to $1 million a year, to the point where you're going to have all the items necessary in your head after thinking about it 24/7 for like a year, 2-3 years straight. Eventually you have a good idea. Eventually you come up with the right path to go down. Eventually you meet the right people. You get into the right network. You get into the right meetings. You start manifesting it in your head, and pray to God about it, and you'll start surrounding your head, and you'll become it. That's number one. I would say that's really the most important, because that's where it starts. It's like a garden. If you're depressed, you probably are consuming depressed kind of content. You're consuming, if you experience like some sadness, you're going to start manifesting it. You're going to start listening to music with sadness. And of course, it's going to accompany your head. Once you accept the identity of an anxious person or a depressed person, of course, that's going to start becoming who you are. You could really just judge a person and who they are just based on, you could see what someone's thoughts are just by looking at them, to be honest, which is why physiognomy is so interesting, but that's a whole side video. Number two is, if you actually try your hardest in an endeavor, and when I mean try your hardest, I mean actually give it your absolute all and your absolute best, you will succeed with it, and that's the secret of the universe. Now, I understand there's like for some people, there are some extraordinary circumstances where, they may not be able to walk, or they're, in an extreme situation, maybe a very bad geography, where that, gives them some, it's an excuse, obviously, and they could be going through a lot of pain, and that's going to be hard. However, most likely, if you're watching this video, you're not in that kind of situation now. You might have some drawbacks, like maybe like a childhood trauma, or I don't know, a broken arm or something, nothing like something bad, maybe some bad events, but nothing to the point where you shouldn't be able to give something your all. Now, if you completely give something your all, and I mean completely give it your all, you're going to reach success with it for the most part, unless you're one of those people who's in like a very bad geography, right? If you're just a normal guy, if you don't have what you want, most likely you're not giving it your all. And I understand how hard that could be, but if you really think about it, if you wanted to get lean, right? Let's say you want to get a six-pack and you're right now an overweight guy. Let's say you're even an obese guy, right? I'm telling you right now, it's not that hard. Now, it is difficult from the surface level, but once you have this like iron mindset and all these bad things start like adding up, and it becomes like so like this fire inside of your stomach that motivates you, that makes you realize, if I don't get this goal, I will not be content with my life, and I will feel miserable every single day, waking up in the mirror and seeing this pathetic body that I have that gets me no results in life. You get so sick of it that you'll practically live in the freaking gym and do 8 hours of cardio. Now, that sounds ridiculous, and obviously doing 8 hours of cardio is excessive and insane, and that's not ideal, right? But there's this guy on TikTok, his name is like Lucas Ego Lifts, and if you look at his entire transformation, he was like 300 pounds or more, and he got completely shredded in 1 year, and now he looks a little like, he started taking like testosterone or whatever, but he got completely shredded, and he was doing the treadmill, incline treadmill, every day for 4 hours every single day, or like 5 hours every single day, and then he was going through this up and down binge cycle of eating like a bunch of Halo Top ice creams, low calories, then he'd do the same process over and over, then you'd have like a 10,000 calorie cheat day and just go right back to the treadmill for like 6 to 7 hours, 6, 7, and it would just be this constant repeat, and everybody in his comment section was like, there's no way this works, there's no way it's healthy, this guy's not going to reach his goal, etc., etc. Let me mute this, hold on, just don't leave yet. Yeah, overall, he just, everybody said it wouldn't work, and it did. You know, obviously it could have been more ideal, he could have been smarter, but he gave that his all. Like, he was completely motivated, he was completely obsessed with leaning down. Every single one of his videos that he spoke, that he created, every single day he would make 10, 15 videos about losing weight. It completely surrounded his head. That's all he was thinking about, and he was just obsessed with getting to that goal because he wanted it so badly, because he was so miserable and sick of his life. I know he had a bad situation with his girlfriend, his ex-girlfriend, and he, you know, was rejected in high school, and this all compounded, and then eventually he flipped and he said, no matter what, I'm going to get this goal. And he did. So there's that. And number 3, and this one's very, very important as well. If you do so much volume of something to the point where it would be unreasonable for you to not succeed, that is the ideal. That's one of the best pieces of advice that's from Alex Hormozi. And, you know, a lot of volume, you know, it can be difficult because you're going to get eventually like burnt out a bit, but, give yourself like a little bit of like a rest day every now and then if you're really like pushing toward a goal. But if you do so much volume of something, you're going to get better at it, right? There's a big difference between a guy who does 1 hour of a habit every day versus a guy who does 8 hours of that habit every single day. And of course, there's like this element of like deep work where like maybe 3 hours is better than 7 hours, but it's the repetition and that thing that you're going for being completely surrounded in your brain and constantly repeating it over and over to the point where that's all that you do. And practice makes perfect. If you just get a racket, and if you have a tennis ball and you have a wall, and you just keep doing the forehand over and over and over and over again for 7 hours. Now, of course, most people aren't going to be able to do that because, you know, that doesn't achieve like a huge goal. It's not really that much, not much brain work in that. But if you have an obsessive goal that you know that you need to achieve, if you just keep doing that over and over and over, the amount of volume, just completely doing the same thing over and over, repetition, eventually you're going to succeed with it because it's all you're doing, right? And you eventually make your own luck because of the amount of repetition that you do. I need to head out, but those are the 3 pieces of advice that really, really helped me that will guide you towards success. That's it. Peace.